of weeks ago, I talked about two major reasons why type 2 diabetes gets worse. And I presented the solution as real food. And somebody asked in the YouTube comments, what is real food? That is such a wonderful and legitimate question. So, what should people with type 2 diabetes eat? People with type 2 diabetes should eat real food. What is real food? So real food actually is not a matter of low carb or high carb. It's not a matter of carnivore or vegan. It's a matter of eating foods that are unprocessed, that are as close as they can be to their natural form. Now, when I talk about real food, I take a very pragmatic view, okay? Today's food environment is what has changed, not people. People who tend to overeat or even feel like they're addicted to these ultra-processed foods, there is nothing wrong with them. They are fine. As a matter of fact, from an evolutionary point of view, they're actually the stronger species of human beings, the stronger types of human beings, because our biology is meant for lack of food, not overabundance of foods that are toxic and cause inflammation, including type 2 diabetes and obesity. So what happens is people who are more attracted to these very rich, very energy dense, calorie dense foods, they're actually the people who, when there wasn't enough food, had the higher chances of surviving. Just that in today's food environment that has changed so much, it is a disadvantage rather than an advantage, because today's foods that are most cheap and available are not real food. They are highly processed foods that are specifically engineered to hook you, specifically engineered to make you eat more than you intended, more often than you intended. That's what this whole food culture that has been very carefully cultivated is causing, and we are seeing the results now, that it is predicted that by 2050, 1 billion people are going to be sick with type 2 diabetes. Do you understand that? When somebody develops type 2 diabetes, they have been sick already, metabolically unhealthy for 20 years. So this is like statistics that should blow your mind. But here's the thing. When people start eating real food, they can actually reverse their diabetes. And if they are pre-diabetic, just like their blood work is getting wonky, a little fatty liver, or maybe some high blood pressure, they're starting to get metabolically sick, right? Their fasting glucose is like not okay already. Well, you can actually prevent type 2 diabetes from developing just by eating real food. No drugs, no injections, just eating real foods. So let's very, very clearly define what real food is. Real food is when you walk into the supermarket, you turn right or you turn left. You do not go to the middle aisles. Real foods do not need a food label. They have one ingredient. For example, avocado is real food. Breakfast cereal is not. The more ingredients that a food has, the less real it is. So any packaged food that has more than 4 or 5 ingredients, that has ingredients that you don't know what they are, or they would never exist in your kitchen. Food products that is not something that you can make yourself at home, all these things are not real food. They are foods that have been created in a laboratory of a food factory. And yes, they are very delicious. Yes, they are even addictive, just like nicotine. But I am certainly not of the philosophy that there is no such thing as bad food. Today, in today's world, and how there are such things as bad food. There are foods that are ultra processed and that are specifically engineered to addict you and to hook you and to make you come back for more and leave you hungry, irritated, overweight, metabolically sick. Why wouldn't they be bad? Because they taste good? Because they're culturally accepted? Who made them culturally accepted? So real food is fruits, vegetables, animal proteins that are unprocessed. If you're buying meat, I think meat is healthy. Maybe, I don't know, there's some science that says not to overeat meat, but there's other science that says different. It's a little bit tricky, but basically I would say saturated fats are healthy as long as they're unprocessed. If they come in their natural form, the food is healthy. I think that is true for carbohydrates as well. There are healthy carbohydrates and unhealthy carbohydrates. Legumes have a lot of carbohydrates in them, but they have a ton of fiber and other healthy things in them. Beans is fantastic. Lentils are great. Quinoa, healthy. Buckwheat, fantastic. And even there are many people who do very, very well on grain products. That's fantastic, as long as they're not processed. Once they're made into a factory produced bread, even when it's whole wheat, that whole wheat has been already pulverized into such a fine powder that the starches make our insulin shoot through the roof. There's all kinds of additives that they put to these new whole wheat breads and mix them with white flours and starches so that they're fluffy and so that they don't go bad quickly. But if you think about real whole wheat bread the way it used to be, or if you make it at home, it goes bad in a day. That's what real food is about. So what I say is this: you should be eating fresh produce as much as possible. You should be making the things at home. And if you make a sauce, you make it by yourself. If you buy a sauce in the store, it is not real sauce. It is not real food, because then it is processed. So real food is just the food that God and Mother Nature meant for us to eat. It is the food that is minimally processed, has the fewest amounts of ingredients, and is as close as possible to its natural form. After that, and here's the beauty of it, especially people who have been eating highly processed and a lot of sweets and starchy foods, if you go off them, I have to say the first few weeks can be challenging because there's cravings and there could be withdrawal syndrome. But what happens is after 2 to 4 weeks, when you actually get used to it, what you find is, first of all, healthy foods that didn't taste so good taste great. Your energy levels go through the roof. You feel fantastic. People sometimes have never even experienced this, like not feeling exhausted and stuff. And when you eat real food, your body tells you which type of eating food, which type of macronutrients, works for you. Does it work for you a higher protein, fat, and lower carb way of eating? Or does it work for you more plant-based, higher carb, lower fat, higher carb and protein, and lower fat type of eating? Which one works for you? The worst thing is to do a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of fat. That's not good. But basically, I can tell you, if you eat real food, you are already well on your way to health. After that, it's just a matter of fine-tuning. So, you want to reverse type 2 diabetes? You are pre-diabetic, or you're at high risk to developing type 2 diabetes, and you would like to stop this in its tracks and really reverse it and get back to optimal health? Eat real food. Do you agree and support what I have talked about in this video about eating real foods, but you just can't seem to apply it? Well, then check out my sugar-free recovery program, because it is designed exactly for people like you, so that you can apply principles of healthy eating for the rest of your life.